guys, hi family. How have you been? Happy New Year to everyone. Oh my God, it is by grace that we're here today. And we thank God for a new year. It is a new chance to do better for ourselves and to achieve greater things in this new year. So, if you're a new follower, please hit the subscribe button. And for those who've been, consistent and supportive, I am grateful, super grateful for you. So anytime you see me hop onto this platform, just believe that it's because what God has been teaching me throughout, like the previous season rather than months before. I feel like it is time to put it out there because I started this platform. I started this channel as a way of showing people how God works in our lives, what He has done in my life as a person, and at the same time, just encouraging the soul out there that with God, it is a journey, and you don't have to put a lot of pressure on yourself, but to just allow God to work on yourself, to work in your heart, and to just build His relationship with you. So let's just hop right into it because whatever God has been teaching me, trust me, it has been a word that, trust me, it is something that I believe most of us struggle with. And I believe it will bless us all today. So let's get right into this. Thank you. So, as Christians, I will be plain and transparent. And one thing I understand, or rather, one thing I know for sure, is that as Christians, this thing called obedience, total obedience, it is something that we struggle with. And I remember in the month of October, God gave me a word for those of us who, those of us who communicate or rather are blessed in the prophetic. Most times God speaks to us through dreams, through visions, and all this. So that at the beginning of October, I remember God gave me a verse, and that was Mark 10:30-31, I believe so. So I'll just read what Mark 10:30, was it from 29? Yes. From 27 down to 31. So it says, but Jesus looked at them and said, with men it is impossible, but not with God, for with God all things are possible. Then Peter began to say to him, see, we have left all and followed you. So Jesus answered and said, assuredly I say to you, there is no one who has left house or brothers or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my sake and the gospel's, who shall not receive 100-fold now in this time, houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecutions, and in the age to come eternal life. But many who are first will be last, and the last first. So God gave me this word when I was in a season where I was praying and I was asking Him to give me insight, to give me wisdom on what He wanted me to do. Because in that season, I was going through this phase where I felt like I was not clicking with the people around me. And it's like you're trying so hard to fit in a space where you don't belong anymore, if you understand what I mean. So yeah, like I was saying, I was in that season where I felt like I wasn't clicking with most of the people in my life, and I didn't want to just like withdraw. And then such things when you just withdraw from people, maybe they might think you have something against them, you hold something against them. And I was just like, God, just show me how to do this gracefully and not make another person feel like they have a problem or there's something wrong with them, but just guide me in your light to do this the right way and with the wisdom. So I really prayed in September, and hopping on to October, I was just like, God, I don't want distractions. And at the same time, I don't want not to walk fully into who you have called me to be. I'm scared as a child, like of course as humans you become scared because this is something that you ask yourself, am I good enough? Do I have it in me? At times when God calls you to something that you feel is bigger than you, something that you feel, oh my God, this is gonna take me out. And then you start listening to the negative voices. And God is like, if I called you to it, I will walk you through it. I will ensure that you get to conquer whatever territory it is that I have called you to. And the person that God created us to be, He alone knows, because He says in the book of Jeremiah that, you know what? I knew you before I created you in your mother's womb. I knew there's a version to you that I knew. So in this moment, I was just like, okay, from this verse, whatever God is communicating to me is that I need to trust in Him and leave all this behind. Basically, what God was asking me to do is to leave some people behind, leave some traits behind, because wherever it is that He is calling me to, there are things that I cannot allow myself to go with them. It's like there are things, there's a version, there are things that you maybe used to do, there are people you used to hang out with, that are openings that the enemy can use to lure you back into who you used to be. And it was painful, trust me, because letting go of people that maybe you've created a bond with for many years, and at the same time just being in this place where you're like, whatever you need of me, God, I'm willing and I'm here. So it wasn't easy. I won't even lie to you right now. It wasn't easy. God was teaching me that there's certain environments that I cannot afford to be a part of anymore. It's like He was just peeling layers of you that are not of Him. When it comes to deliverance, I think God just takes us through a journey of consecration where He gets to work in your life as you, and it becomes so lonely and isolated at the same time. But I was just like, God, whatever you need of me, whatever you require of me, give me the grace to just walk in it. So since October till December, God has just been highlighting obedience through when I read my Bible, when I listen to sermons, these are things God has just been highlighting obedience to me. I remember this one time when I hopped into, after receiving that word, and then I was like, really? And you sure, Lord? And then that night, I listened to this. He's a pastor that I never listened to him as often. But that day, the Spirit directed me to listen to that word. And when I listened to that word, it was talking about the story of Jonah. And I was like, okay. I was super guilty in the moment. And I was just like, God, continue to just guide me, because with my strength alone, I cannot do it. But with your strength, our weaknesses as humans. So just guide me through it all. So all through, for the past 3 months, literally, God has been giving me this. God didn't give me another word. Trust me, for the past 3 months, God has been giving me this one word, which is obedience. And He requires total obedience from me. So He was basically telling me to leave. When God says, no one that has left brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers and children and all this for my sake, this is total obedience. And still, as humans, rebellion. It made me remember of the story of Saul, when God gave Samuel a word, when Saul was going against the Amalekites, and God was like, kill everything and everyone, But Saul decided to spare King Agag, and also he took, sheep and cows, and that made God to reject Saul. And I was like, God, Mimi, I don't want to be rejected. Mimi, I want to serve you, and I honestly want to serve you the way you want me to serve you. So just give me the grace and the insight and the wisdom to do this the right way. And I think as humans, when we get to that place where God demands our full attention, and you are maybe used to certain people and things and places, and you're like, am I sure I wanna quit that? Am I sure I want to do away with that? But God is like, where I'm calling you to, they can't go with you. You can't carry those traits. You can't continue doing that. And I was like, hey, chai, or Guinea, you know? But I was just like, God, you didn't bring me this far just to leave me. And whatever you started in me, you'll ensure I make it to completion. So just guide me through it. Even before the start of this year, I was just like, God, in the year 2024, this is a year where I believe God wants to show off in a major way, not just in my life, but in each and every person's life. And for Him to show off through you, He demands full obedience. So that is just what I'm here to tell you today. I have been in a season where I remember even before the start of this year, I was in places that God didn't want me to be. But the fact that I was in those places and in my spirit, I was feeling this is not for me anymore. You know, it's like you're trying so hard to just fit into something, yet you're bigger than that. You're called to be bigger than that. And God is like, for me to use you and for what I have created you to do, you cannot afford to not walk in full obedience. And as scared as I am still, I believe that the grace of God is sufficient for me. And in this year, I believe God is going to give most of us major breakthroughs. It is a year, where He wants to move and to move in speed. This is a year where God has been enlightening, restoration, and taking back everything that the enemy has stolen from us as human beings. So, as you receive this word, ask yourself today, what is it that God has been asking you to surrender to Him? What is it that God has been really placing deep down in your spirit to just let go of? What traits has God been, giving you that deep conviction that this is not for you anymore? Because for me, it was number one, quitting alcohol. Number two, it was doing away with certain people in my life. And number three, it was working in purity, in total purity. And this meant putting God first and doing away with idols in my life. And I don't know what those idols may be in your life, but in this pace and season and this year, for me, I just want to move with God. So when this year started, I was just like, God, you gave me a word 3 months ago and I have not walked in it. And I know for a fact you won't give me another word until I walk in that word that you gave me. And I choose and I decide to move with God, because our God is a God of seasons. And once you don't move, you'll feel stuck. That is where stagnation comes in, because you are not moving with God. So if God says it is time for that, trait to end, it is time for that toxic relationship to end, it is time for that friendship to end, it is time for you to step, and when He's calling you to higher, it means that He won't speak another word until you move from the last word that He gave you. So this year, I am asking you, I am genuinely pleading with you to believe and trust that God has the best intentions for us. Most of us normally feel like I'll be missing out on something, but no. When God calls you to higher, it means wherever God is calling you to, He has people that He has placed strategically for that place where He's calling you to. And the moment you want to still shrink and be stagnant, it's because the enemy wants you to feel like you can't be another person out of what you used to. And that is not how God operates. If you look at, the people God used in the Bible, these are people who, of course, were scared. They stumbled and fell at some point in their lives. But obedience is what got them to do what God expected them to do. If Christ did not walk in total obedience, we wouldn't be here today. We won't be saved by his grace. We won't have redemption. And that is why even at the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was crying and praying, and he was like, God, not your will, not my will, but your will be done. As scared as he was, that was the time you saw Jesus being so vulnerable and scared at the same time, because he knew what was ahead was painful and scary. And he was like, if you can take this cup of suffering from me. But through his obedience, as sinners, we are here today. We have been saved by grace. We have been freed from, darkness. And the only assurance I always tell myself that there is no day the enemy will ever defeat my God is this illustration where it is a room full of darkness. It is a room full of darkness, and the moment I just switch on those lights, switch on that one light, all the darkness is gone. Literally, it's like it vanishes, And that is the only illustration I need in my life as proof that, you know what, Candy? This light that you carry in you, it is something that illuminates and it eradicates all the darkness that the enemy has ever attacked your life with. And that is assurance enough that victory will always be on my end. So as we step into this new year, I am asking you, what is it that God has been asking you to be obedient with? Who has God been asking you to be obedient with? So be it in your career, be it in your relationships, in your marriages, in your journey with him, whatever it is, in your character, what has God been asking you to be obedient with? Take that leap of faith and believe that God will be with you each and every step of the way. In this new year, in this season, I am here to remind you that God is still God. It doesn't matter what you're going through. I believe in each and every trial in our lives, our God is always there to just show himself through those trials and challenges. And I know most of us are going through it. Life is lifing, but at the same time, God is still God. And he is a God of suddenlies. He is a God of miracles. He is a God who makes ways. He is a God who changes even the things that people have said are unchangeable. He's the God of possibilities. He's the God who knows how to take us and mold us and, fix us. So I titled this message, Do You Know the Weight of Your Yes? Because that is what God has been asking me all this while. Candy, do you know the weight of your yes? And by yes, that means total obedience to who I am calling you to be. Because there are people I have assigned to your life for you to be the one to create a way. There are things that I've called you to. There are things that have your name on it. But until you step in obedience into what I have called you to, there are people you're delaying. There are things you're delaying in your life. And I cannot afford to delay anymore because, hello, time. There's a time for everything when it comes to God. And that is why Samuel told Saul, in that moment when Saul had gone against the word of the Lord, Samuel told Saul that, with God, obedience is better than sacrifice. It's like he values obedience more than anything. And it is through obedience that is the key that holds your breakthrough to everything that God has called you to and everyone that God has assigned to your life. So today, ask yourself this, and above all else, may this year be a year where you get to grow more, to become a better version of yourself, and to just surrender fully to who God is calling you to be. I'm still journeying in, building my relationship with God, and I remember before the end of last year, I was feeling some type of way, and I sat down, I cried to God, and I was like, God, what is it that it's like I tend to attract a lot of envy and jealousy, especially from people I don't even have something, I hold nothing against. I'm the kind of person who it doesn't matter what you do. I have hurt people, people have hurt me at the same time, but I don't know how to hold this thing called a grudge in my life. So it's just like, God, why do I feel like it's like everyone, especially those people you genuinely maybe love and care about, or people you consider maybe, friends and maybe family at some point, and then you're like, so I was in that moment and I was in prayer, and God gave me the word break through the noise. It doesn't matter what people say about you. What do I say about you? What do I see in you? And in everything, I will give you honor before the same people who speak ill of you. You know, they don't know the kind of anointing I have placed in your life. And if you choose to listen to outside voices, these are things that will make you feel, it's like you're supposed to shrink back. I will not shrink back. I don't care what you think of me. I don't care what you say about me. I don't care what, you know, you think I should be. I'm not I'm not listening to that anymore. I know what God says about me. I know who I am at my core. And I believe the purest of hearts is what God needs to just work through us. And if I have that in me, child, boy, girl, God is on my side and victory is always on my side. And I want someone to take that word today, that it doesn't matter what people say about you, what weapons they fashion against you, because at the end of it all, we win. At the end, we win. Christ died on that cross. Hello. So, yeah, take this word today. Let it bless your life and step into who God has called you to be. It's in you. It's in you. And I will say this once more, it's in you. So, till next time, may God bless you. May He cause His face to shine upon you. May He bless you abundantly and favor you and cover you. And above all else, may He redeem you, because you are the blessed of the Lord, the chosen and the redeemed of the Lord. So till next time, may people be blessed, and may the Lord bless you abundantly. My prayer for you this 2024 is that may you not miss the mark for what God has for you. Till next time.